Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Matt Bernier for the DRF.com Formulator Race of the Day. It's for Friday, January the 13th. Friday the 13th. Ooh. But it is opening day at Oaklawn Park, and it's race number 8 at 1 mile and a 16th. The $125,000 fifth season stakes for older horses. This is a very competitive field.
You can really go a number of ways in here. You could go almost as far as to say you could make a case for every single runner in here. I'm not going to go quite that far, but I think there is a legitimate case to be made for the majority of this field.
Friends, head on over to the Race of the Day event page on DRF.com. Download those free Formulator past performances and handicap along with us as we begin with the number 1, Discreetness, won the Smarty Jones last winter at Oaklawn Park. The problem with Discreetness is he has 0 early speed and is usually 10, 15 lengths off the early lead, and I'm just not sure that style is going to work in this race.
It'll be interesting to see. I will disagree a little bit about the pace, but we'll dive into that as we go on. Discreetness is going to be coming from way out of it. I don't know where this horse is overall from a form standpoint. His 2 most recent starts on turf. I think getting back to Oaklawn is going to be beneficial, but at the end of the day, has he really run a race fast enough to win against a group like this? We may not be talking about grade 1 animals, but they're certainly salty old veterans. I don't know where he is right now.
He was certainly in against some top 3-year-olds last year. Belmont Stakes winner Creator. Cupid was the bee's knees for a while. And the last time he raced on dirt, you got to go all the way back to Derby Day, I think it was, in the Pat Day Mile. And he was in against Forever Mo, who came back to win with an 85. Star Hill was good for a hot minute. He then came back to run third in the Woody Stevens with a 91 buyer. But I just don't like his lack of early speed, and he's going to have to improve. The 2 is Cut a Corner, one of 2 in here, trained by the veteran Jack Van Berg. This horse is a first-time gelding after not doing much last time at Keeneland, although that race has produced 3 next out winners.
You know, you just look at his overall body of work. There's not a lot there. He's run a couple of decent races at Oaklawn. He's going to need to do better than decent.
Runner-up from the most recent race did come back to earn a 99 buyer speed figure when winning a non-winners of 2 other than. But this horse, again, he's had his chances in graded stakes competition in the past, and he's always fallen a little bit short. Code West, the number 3, is a hard-hitting, newly turned 7-year-old when last seen Zia Park. Game effort in the Zia Championship where he was able to make a pretty easy early lead for the first quarter mile, and then they ratcheted up the pressure on him, and he had to start running from the half-mile pole. He was very game to win at 12-1. The question is, can he make it 2 in a row, and he probably has to run a little faster.
Probably a little bit, but boy, if he runs that race, I think he's going to be tough. He has the highest last out time form U.S. rating with a 120. He has early positional speed. I think that's going to go a long way in here because I think there are a couple of horses that are going to ensure an honest pace. It may not be blistering, but I like the fact that Code West has shown in the past he can sit just off, he can go on with it. If for some reason it doesn't materialize, you have to view him as a contender based on that most recent effort.
He was second in this race last year off a similar layoff, and he did beat 3 next out winners in that race at Zia Park. Pinson is the number 4. Maybe Pinson will be one of the pace horses in here. He was claimed by Randy Morse for $50,000 2 starts back, and the horse came back to run really well in the $250,000 Delta Mile in his final start as a 3-year-old. The question is, was the Delta Mile this year really a quality race, and didn't he just get a great trip?
I thought the Delta Mile, looking back on it, was kind of a terrible race, to be honest with you. And I go through and look at it and say, you know, this is a horse that both of his lifetime wins have come out right on the lead. He's never actually won from off the pace. Well, guess what? He almost did last time. I don't think that was because he was brilliant. I think it was because everyone else was stopping. There were 4 horses across the track at the wire. He's a horse I hope takes money because I don't like him at all.
And both of his wins have come when on the lead, and if you believe there are some other speeds in here, he might have to work for it. I still think the jury's out as to his overall quality. Yes, he was stakes placed last time out, but the time before that, he was all out to win that $50,000 conditioned claimer. The 5 is For Greater Glory. He is 7 years old. He's always done some good work at Laurel. Can you make the argument that his last couple of races, he was just simply compromised by slow paces, and he might get a different setup here?
That's the way I'm looking at it. I think he's run just fine. You watch him visually. He looks good. He's making these big moves, turning for home. He just doesn't have the pace that he needs to run at in any of these races. You could make the argument maybe he just doesn't want to do it anymore. It's been a long time since he's had a victory. It is worth noting, though, the most recent victory came at Oaklawn Park over a sloppy sealed track. We may have some moisture in the racetrack on Friday afternoon. If the pace does develop, it certainly benefits him.
Calvin Borel listed to ride. This is a horse that can be a little bit grumpy coming out of the gate. I mean, you go all the way back to the Dwyer in 2013, and he might have broke about 10 lengths slow in that race and ran really well. It seems he's gotten a little bit better as he's gotten older, but it's something to keep in mind. For Greater Glory, great price on the morning line, 20-1. He's got the back class in races to win this race. Smack's just a hard hitter, isn't he? He's quietly closing in on $1 million in earnings. He's won a third of his 30 lifetime starts, and he's hit the board in his last 5 races. No match for Code West last time out, but he had to take the overland route.
I suppose. I thought he had every opportunity, just wasn't good enough. If you can't get by Code West that day, when Code West was the one that was doing all the dirty work on the front end, I have a hard time imagining that they're going to turn the tables.
He does have nice tactical speed, but he's sort of fallen into that level of a mid to high 80s buyer type. What do you think is going to be needed to win this race? Do you need a 90?
I think pretty darn close. I have an 89. I think that's kind of what we're looking at as far as the benchmark. And I think that's what makes this race so fascinating. You have so many horses in that mid to high 80 range. Very few of them have shown the ability to pop a 90 plus. I think if anyone does, they're going to win.
Number 7, Inside Straight, reached that 89 buyer last time out, went third in the Zia Park Derby against 3-year-olds. That race was slower than the Oaks, the 3-year-old filly counterpart on the same card, but Inside Straight had a little bit of a curious ride and trip.
Yes, certainly. He was just kind of stymied. He broke very, very sharp, and for some reason, somehow he got shuffled mid-pack down on the inside, turning for home. You want to talk about trouble. That is a troubled trip if you've ever seen one. I'm torn on a horse like this. If he runs that most recent race, you could have made the argument he was best in there. That race is a complete outlier. He doesn't have anything else on his page that suggests that's actually what he is. Now, maybe he's a newly turned 4-year-old and he was just putting things together. It's also nice to see if there is moisture in the racetrack. He has proven over it time and time again. He's 3 for 5 life.
Yeah, thus far he's been a wet track specialist, and he goes out for a very dangerous trainer. I believe Robertino Diodoro last year alone at Oaklawn had something like a $4 return on investment if he just bet all of his Oaklawn starters blindly. Inside Straight, one to watch and consider, especially if the track comes up wet. I'm worried about the 8 chief of staff who ships out of Southern California and is now with trainer Jack Van Berg. He's been in some good optional claimers out at in Southern California.
You can make the case he's getting class relief here. I know this is a stakes race. He's coming out of those optional claimers. Those are salty older horses in Southern California. I think they're slightly better than the ones he'll be facing here. Jack Van Berg, past 5 years, first after the trainer switch, is only 1 for 29 and only 6 have hit the board. Don't let that talk you off if this horse goes off at the 8-1 morning line, because I think that, boy, I mean, if he goes off in that range, he's very, very interesting. I have a sneaky feeling he's going to take money in here. People are just going to look at the connections that he was with and see how well Van Berg did here last year. I'm torn on him.
Well, Matt mentioned that the 89 might be all you need to win this race. This horse has equaled or done better than 89 in 3 out of his last 4 races, so he fits the bill, at least from a speed figure standpoint. Domain's Rap, a former $10,000 claimer. This was a great claim. They claimed him for 10. He won 4 in a row. He ended up second in the Grade 3 Razorback Handicap. He then was second to Code West in a stakes race at Prairie Meadows. The last 3 starts, I guess, are okay, but he was in for 25 on the turf most recently. Can you make just simply the case this is an Oaklawn specialist and the barn was kind of nursing him along to get back here over the winter?
You can make that argument. Look, the quarter tag doesn't bother me, simply because, again, this is a horse that last year was in for 10. It'd be one thing if he was just, you know, a stakes caliber runner and they just plummeted in class with him. I mean, he is what he is. He got hot last year. The trainer did a fantastic job keeping him together and going on. He loves Oaklawn. You've got to view that as a positive. I think he's going to need to run much, much better if he's going to be competitive.
But he did run some fast races again last year at Oaklawn at this time of year. 29 of 59 in the exacta for Domain's Rap. Oh, Mr. Z, he's a millionaire, but he's 2 for 23. This is a horse that, you know, was put in tough spot after tough spot, but he was third to American Pharaoh, a non-threatening third in the Arkansas Derby. Wayne Lucas wins races at Oaklawn. He gears up for this meet.
Yeah, he does. And I hate to say this. This is a prime example of a horse that's just been terribly managed. If he was put in positions to succeed, probably has many more than 2 victories at this stage in the game. I think he needs to have the lead if he's going to win. I think he just adds to the pace scenario along with Pinson, along with a couple of the other ones that are going to be forward.
I mean, he's obviously getting a little bit of class relief in here. He can be forwardly placed. At the end of the day, just the recent form, it's hard to recommend a horse like Mr. Z off of his recent form. Just double-digit loss after double-digit loss after double-digit loss. But maybe all this horse needed was a little bit of a break. I mean, he was running as a 3-year-old nonstop. He was then away for about a year, and the 3 races back haven't been good. Maybe he needed another layoff because he worked a bullet here the other day.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is a horse that people are going to use him, and he's gone down as sort of the butt of jokes. I mean, this is just a mismanaged horse that he has ability. There's no doubt about that. He's just been thrown into the most ridiculous situations.
Won the Ohio Derby for his second and last victory. Let's take a look at our selections for the 5th season stakes. I just think this is a race where you're supposed to shop for at least a little bit of a price. I'm not sure if the favorite's going to be 7-2 or 4-1, etc. Matt, you're going to go with the 5 for Greater Glory.
I think it's just a scenario where the pace does develop. I understand maybe on paper it doesn't look like it's some ballistic pace, but you have enough horses that need to have the lead if they're going to win. You have enough horses that like to be forwardly placed, and I think he's in sneaky good form. I understand, again, it's been a long time between drinks, but boy, he's run some good races in there visually, and the price is right.
I'm going with the 3 Code West, 5-1 on the morning line. This horse ran his fastest ever buyer, a 99 in this race last year, or was it 2015, went in his first start since the Zia Park race. He's going to try to replicate that pattern one more time. He can be close to the pace. I thought he was pretty game last time out, beating those 3 next out winners. So I'll go with Code West in the 5th season. If you're playing the Oaklawn opening day, Friday the 13th card from home, here's the drill. $100 worth of free bets, plus a $100 sign-up bonus, plus a $25 free bet. It's all waiting for you, folks, when you head on over to drfbets.com/free bet. Approximate post time for race number 8 on opening day at Oaklawn. It's the $125,000 5th season stakes. It's at 3:49 Central. Best of luck.